AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Taylor Sharp.
Every girl crazy about it, shine as me.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Louisiana Tech head football coach Sonny Cumbie in 30 minutes. If you missed the story last week, Tech is on 2 different conference schedules. Both Conference USA and the Sun Belt have included Louisiana Tech in their conference schedules. They're obviously not playing 2 conference schedules. So I'll ask Sonny Cumbie about that coming up in about 30 minutes. And also just a check-in with his squad as Tech does play in Baton Rouge against LSU again this season for the 2nd consecutive year. So do that coming up in a bit. Doug Thompson in hour number 3. LSU at the practice field Tuesday for the first time in spring. First practice under Lane Kiffin. A spirited effort. They were just in helmets, jerseys and shorts. We weren't going to see a ton. We got 5 individual periods. And it was football adjacent stuff. You saw running backs, doing ball security drills, running through the chute. You saw quarterbacks and receivers playing pitch and catch against air. You saw defensive backs and linebackers backpedaling and doing stuff like that. Linemen hitting sleds. It was a lot of that. But I think what was certainly notable is that Sam Leavitt was there, participating in a limited fashion. Whit Weeks was there but not participating. And some of the other guys, as Lane Kiffin met with reporters, that he sort of singled out for the job that they've done. I'll get to that in a second, but let's start with the quarterbacks because, whenever I think it's important to remember how rare it is, and maybe, quite honestly, in LSU football history, it might be altogether unique. People misuse unique. Unique means one, literally just one. Like, this may be a unique situation. I'm not sure if LSU has ever turned over every scholarship quarterback on the roster. I mean, if you know of one, please let me know. But I can't ever remember a time where every scholarship quarterback from one year was gone the next. That's the situation LSU's facing right now. And so you've got Sam Leavitt and Husan Longstreet, and you brought in Landon Clark from Elon, and you still have Emil Picarella, who's a preferred walk-on, but the scholarship quarterbacks are all brand new. And not only are they new to LSU, they're new to the system. And that's what Lane Kiffin talked about, the quarterbacks sort of heading into spring and the job they've done up until this point, why it's so important.
I think they've done a good job of coming in, all being new again to a new system, no carryover. And they've done a really good job, including Sam, who's obviously been limited physically, but they spend a lot of time up here, a lot of extra time. They've done a really good job because it's a lot on that position in our system because they drive everything. They're really like the point guard. If they don't know what they're doing really well and they don't drive it, the system doesn't work as well as it has for a long time.
That sounds obvious. Okay, you have to have good quarterback play to function offensively. And that's true. But it is specifically true in systems that require a specific amount of timing or a certain skill set and understanding. So that was great to see because something else Lane talked about there, and it was a long answer, but something else he talked about in that answer was these were guys who the players might be up there at 9 o'clock when the coaches are there as well. they're there on Sundays getting their work in. So the good thing is the quarterbacks, your leaders, they're taking the onus on themselves when they can't work with the coaches to be up at the facility doing this extra work themselves, which was awesome. And Lane elaborated a little bit more. Remember, he said that, like, to run this offense, like, you have to be like the point guard. We don't operate efficiently if the quarterback doesn't know what they're doing. And later on in the press conference, he talked a little bit more about their tempo.
There's a whole system to this, and I really got exposed to it, when we hired Kendall Browse at FAU and the Baylor system of how spread it is and the tempo and the receivers playing right and left, and there's a lot of little things within that. So that takes some time too. It's almost like, I don't know basketball well, but since basketball is going on, if you went in, you were going to press all game, and you had to get players into that conditioning, like Arkansas back in the day in basketball, 40 minutes of hell. Like, that's basically what it's like. So that's a lot of physical conditioning, but mental conditioning, and it all starts with this quarterback because, like I said, he's the point guard pushing everything. So there's a ton that goes into that.
Mushu edited out his flub. The 60 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we're trying to be concise, trying to make Coach look good right now in the spring.
Lane was like, is it 40 minutes or is it 60 minutes? I don't really know. That was Nolan Richardson, 40 minutes of hell at Arkansas back in the day when they won the 94 Natty. But yes, but I think it's a good illustration of what he's asking his quarterbacks to do effectively. Like a point guard in that system, he's asking his quarterbacks to do in this system as well, which stems from the Briles tree, which we saw at Baylor be so successful with Art Briles. His son Kendall was the OC with Lane at FAU before Charlie Weiss came in, and clearly they've continued to run it effectively. Now, he gushed about the quarterbacks, but he was also asked about Trey'Dez Green specifically and his skill set. But I always find it interesting. Listen, you might argue that I'm actually a professional press conference goer because in my life, I've gone to thousands of these, listening to coaches speak. And one of the things that I have come to sort of derive and just observe from coaches doing press conferences over the years is a lot of times coaches are going to say whatever they want, and they'll use your question as an open door to steer to wherever they want to go. So you may ask a direct question, but if the answer leads you somewhere else, it tells you that's the message they were trying to get to. So the question was about Trey'Dez Green and what makes him so special physically. Listen to where he took the question.
His skill set is ultra elite, but so is his mindset, and that's really, really unique to have because they usually don't coincide. Ty, the safety, has it too, and Jordan seems to have it. If you were a scout out there watching, those three guys would stand out from a skill set of ultra elite.
Okay. Skill set ultra elite, but mindset as well. Now, we've gotten to see Trey'Dez Green and in that role and in that mold, and he's been awesome in that respect. But he also mentioned Benefield and Seaton. So when you start to look at who are the guys that in a roster that has brought in more than 50 new players, 40 plus via the portal, nearly 20 from the high school ranks. They're not all here yet. Remember, you got some of your signees that won't show up until June. But in a roster that's almost completely turned over, who are going to be the guys that you look to say, all right, who are the great players that also lead? Well, he just gave you three names. He was asked about Trey'Dez, but threw out there Benefield and Seaton as well. I'm going to tell you why that's an awesome thing. Benefield was the singular safety they targeted in this portal class. I know they added Fahim Delane later, but I'm talking about right now, immediate. Hey, AJ Halsey's off to the NFL. Who's replacing that guy immediately? Benefield. He's the one guy they went after. He was the first safety they brought in, and after Jackson Harris became the first commit, Ty Benefield wasn't far behind that first weekend of the portal. They identified him, targeted him, went all in on him, and got him. And so when you make a guy that big of a priority, and physically, and his productivity matches, but then he's got the outstanding mindset as well as the skill set, as Lane said, that's a win. And Jordan Seaton is another major one because we all know, if Jordan Seaton is healthy, standing upright, he is LSU's left tackle. That's not even a question. And LSU paid an enormous price financially to get Jordan Seaton here. And if you are going to make that type of investment, you want to make it in, yes, elite players, but elite players that are going to have buy-in. Ask Kansas basketball this year what it's like when you have an elite player that isn't bought into winning with your team. Now, I don't know what this is going to mean for Jordan Seaton. He's here for a year, and he is trying to get to the NFL next year and be the top offensive lineman taken. And he has obviously committed himself this offseason to being elite. Now, you can follow his Instagram, and you'll see he's at Miami Heat games, and he's taking pictures with luxury vehicles, and good on you, kid. I mean, you got broke off, and you're a multimillionaire, and that's awesome, and I'm pumped for you. I wish nothing but great things. I also want the Tigers to do great, and I want it to be about winning at LSU while you're here and not just about the paycheck. That's what we all want. We hope that's a shared goal, and it sounds like it. This is what Lane Kiffin said when he was asked about Jordan Seaton's offense, because the story's going around right now that he's lost 20-some-odd pounds, has sort of remade himself physically in this offseason before this spring.
Jordan has done a phenomenal job since he got here, and his body changing, his work ethic, his time. I mean, I'll come up here, it'll be Sunday at 9 p.m., and he'll be out there doing his own stuff, working out. And, that's what we're trying to build here, that becomes the norm. That mindset and the way that you work, and we got some players that are there, that have that. You build the culture that's what it is, and then you're an outlier when you just check the box. And so I'm happy that Jordan's there to lead. To me, if you can have your kind of marquee name players that appear to be the best ones coming in, and that's what the other kids see as they come in, is really important. And so we evaluate that a lot in the process of who we take.
It's remember what he said there, evaluation. If you were with us all throughout the lead up, throughout the portal, one of the things we talked about so much here was Billy Glasscock and Kiffin and their evaluation, how they assigned a value to these players. And yes, it was about physical ability, but it was character and a lot of other things that they factored in. Positional value, all that stuff, almost like an NFL front office. Well, the one thing you don't know, take an NFL principle, right? The one thing you don't know is how does money change someone? You draft someone in the first round, they get that 7-figure check. How does money change them? Their work ethic, their attention to detail, how they treat other people, all those things. It's the one thing you don't know. It's why you want to make sure you do a thorough character evaluation before the draft. Will money change this person? Now you have to worry or wonder the same thing in college. Well, Jordan Seaton's a guy who was at Colorado, went in the portal late in the process with the very clear intention of making as much money as possible, and he got that deal at LSU. And the question is, okay, you got paid. How will it change you? And the answer so far, for the better. It is, look at it. Pull that picture up again, Taylor, if you would, please. He is, for a 320-pound man, he is lean. This is a guy that has eyes on having a great season at LSU as a junior and then being the first pick in the NFL, first offensive lineman picked in the NFL draft a year from now. That's a shared goal. Money has maybe changed him for the better, motivated him for the better. It's a good thing when your best players are also your best leaders. Seemingly, in the early going, so far so good for LSU. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Relief Windows. Windows, door siding, oh yeah, they do shutters too. And shades. Remember, Relief Windows has those beautiful roller shades now with the same standard with everything else you see at Relief Windows. Measure twice, install once. It's Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Those roller shades can make your home more energy efficient, control light and temperature. So check it out. Go to the website, reliefwindows.com, reliefwindows.com. At the top, you see windows, doors, siding, shutters, shades. If you want to learn more about their shades or their indoor shutters, you can just click that link right there at the top of the page and get more information over at Relief Windows. It's Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com, 288-8138, 288-8138. 288-8138 for Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. All right, y'all. Good show so far. Glad you're hanging out with us. We have just had, a ton of meat on the bone. We're talking football so far. We are going to shift gears a little bit later. An hour from right now, Doug Thompson will be here. LSU baseball back on the field against Louisiana Tech tonight. We do have Louisiana Tech head football coach Sonny Cumbie in 15 minutes from right now. When we come back, though, should the New Orleans Saints target Stefon Diggs in free agency? I got a thought. That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions. It's Glow Resources and glowresources.com. Always encourage you to check out their website. You can give them a shout. Always encourage you as well to check out their social media. They do list always the jobs that they have available that they're trying to fill at their website. So if you're interested and you're looking for a job, make sure that you check out Glow Resources. They recently were named Louisiana's #1 workforce staffing leader. So if you need that skilled blue-collar labor, Glow Resources specializes there. So you need heavy equipment operators, crane operators, pipe fitters, welders, that skilled blue-collar labor. Glow Resources can help you there, and there's nobody better in Louisiana, but they're not just in Louisiana. They'll help you find people to fill jobs all over the country and the world. GLO, glowresources.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
We ride back and forth till we run out of light. Take it to the barn, put it up for the night. Climb up in the loft, sit and talk with the radio on.
Our Louisiana Tech head football coach Sonny Cumbie in 10 minutes. Got to move quickly here so we stay on time to get to coach. CBS Sports has a piece up where they looked at every remaining need, or the biggest remaining need for every team, and they made a free agent and a draft projection or suggestion. And for the Saints, they listed wide receiver, and we've talked plenty about wide receivers, a big need for New Orleans. And the free agent fit they mentioned is Stefon Diggs. The draft fit is Denzel Boston out of Washington. And they note the obvious, which is the Saints need a receiver opposite Chris Olave. With a top 10 pick, they could take Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson. But notes that Boston could be a big-bodied option in round 2. So the part of that I think is the most interesting is when he says, or when they note a big-bodied option in round 2. Because when I look at the Saints receiving core, this is the thing that I have suggested and did a year ago was maybe the void. Remember, going into last season, you had Olave, you had Rashid Shaheed, and do you remember who the veteran receiver was they added? Feels like a million years ago. Remember the veteran receiver they added? Brandon Cooks. They added an older, slower, less productive version of Chris Olave. Or of Rashid Shaheed. They added the same guy who was just older, slower, and expensive. It did make a lick of sense. Give your young quarterback a big-bodied target. Now, they traded for Devon Vele, which looked like a disaster at the onset. But ultimately, Vele became a more productive player late in the season, and hopefully he builds upon that. But I don't think anybody that's interested in the New Orleans Saints are looking at Devon Vele thinking that he's going to be this massively impactful player. He's not going to be a #1 receiver, which is sort of what I would like to see the Saints target in this offseason. So I look at Stefon Diggs, and you probably know where every conversation we have about free agents and draft, we're always going to start at the same place. I'm sorry, what's the contract going to look like? And how does it marry sort of trying to as a predictor of production? Well, Stefon Diggs is 32. He will be 33 in November. So he will turn 33 during next season. And Diggs, despite his age, has still been a very productive player. Now, in 2024 in Houston, he played in just 8 games. And as a result of playing in those 8 games, only 8 games, which was a career low, he had career low in receptions with just 47, career low in receiving yards at 496, career low in touchdowns with 3. They tied his career low in touchdowns. His second year in Minnesota, he had 3. But you get the point. This is also a guy that prior to 2024 had 6 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Then he plays in just 8 games, production effectively cut in half, comes back this year in New England, plays all 17 games, and that's a bit of a resurgence. He catches 85 passes for 1,013 yards, just 4 touchdowns. But again, was a 1,000-yard receiver. So I look at 2024 in Houston very much as the outlier. The fact that he had 6 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, then just dropped off a cliff when he was injured, and then bounced back with another 1,000-yard receiving season. But I am going to point to the conversation that we just had about Demario Davis. If the New Orleans Saints were not willing to invest a multi-year deal with guaranteed money and a guy that was their defensive captain and was coming off the 2 most productive seasons of his career, it's going to be hard to justify giving a multi-year deal with guaranteed money to a player that's 32 and going to turn 33 during the upcoming season. Because we say it often with the Saints, their sort of predictive measure is to make sure you pass on a player a year too early rather than a year too late. So you don't want to get saddled with an aging veteran who cost you a lot of money. And that's where Diggs sort of falls on this sliding scale. So the thing that would offset that is if it was a really affordable deal for Stefon Diggs. And I guess what defines affordable is in the eye of the beholder, or in this instance, the individual teams. Well, Spotrac lists the market value for Stefon Diggs at 2 years, $27.6 million. That's an average of $13.8 million per. So the AAV, the average annual value, at $13.8 million. 2 years, $27.6 million. I have a hard time coming to grips with that, not just for a 32-year-old and not just for a receiver, but a 32-year-old receiver that looks like, skill set-wise, the guy you're about to break off in Chris Olave, despite my objections. I mean, I'm the one sitting here telling you I don't want to see Chris Olave get a $33 million per year contract. I think that is grossly overpaying for a wide receiver that is not a number one, not a dominant player that can take over a game. If you have a dominant player that can take over a game, like Seattle just paid JSN, but paying him $44 million a year kind of makes me throw up in my mouth. I'm not even a Seattle fan. I'm like, glad they did it, not me, not my team. I just have to believe if you want a player of that caliber, you can get it for less than 13.8. I'd almost rather go the second-round pick route. Now, you're taking a risk because you don't know if the second-round pick is going to pan out. But what I also want is a big-bodied receiver. I want a different style of receiving target. It's one of the reasons a guy like Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson are so intriguing. They are big receivers who can fly. It gives you a different skill set, a different target for your quarterback in Tyler Shuck. So, respectfully, a guy like Diggs, who is going to have a very compelling case for the Hall of Fame one day, I don't know that at that price, on a multi-year deal, at age 32, almost 33, is something I'd be willing to invest in. I think you have to be willing to get younger. It's something the Saints are clearly showing they're trying to do. They would not commit to Demario Davis. He's now a Jet. They have not yet signed Cameron Jordan, even though he's coming off a season where he had 10.5 sacks. They are getting younger as a roster. I don't know that adding Stefon Diggs is the way I would go. Remember, you also have Jalen Polk, who effectively took a redshirt season this past year. You traded for him. He's a former number one overall, former first-round draft pick. So maybe Polk achieved some of the promise he had coming out of Washington. Devon Vele another year. You're going to pay Chris Olave despite my objections. And maybe you go in the draft and add a receiver, be it at pick 8 or in round 2. That's the path I'd rather see the Saints go. Get younger and more affordable. If you thought a veteran receiver was the missing piece to win a championship, then I'd be on board with this. I just can't get down with it in this way. I think you got to go draft to add a wide receiver. Let me know your thoughts. Agree, disagree? You can email us, tweet us, or text us 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020. You want to see 2020? Call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. Dr. Blake Williamson and the staff over at the Williamson Eye Center, they're just the best. Go sit down, have one conversation with Dr. Blake, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. The way that he puts his patients at ease, how he communicates, and his credentials are unparalleled, inarguable. And the guy goes all over the world teaching it at conferences because he's one of the foremost leaders in ophthalmology. We're just blessed that he happens to live here. It's a Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. Okay, quick break. We'll come back. Louisiana Tech head football coach Sonny Cumbie will be here. The Bulldogs play in Tiger Stadium again. They're going through spring practice right now. We just don't know if they're going to be in Conference USA or the Sun Belt. We'll ask him next. It's AFR.
AFR.
81 degrees. We are getting close to that time where when you are outside, you just cannot wait to get home and just cannonball into the pool. I love those days. When I get home from work and get to put Drew in his swimsuit, and we get to go splash around the pool for a little while. Great way to spend relaxing Saturday afternoons or weekends during pool season. Man, that dream can be a reality for you. And Duplessis Builders makes that happen for people every single day. Tell you all the time, there's lots of companies that'll build you a beautiful pool. Go look at Instagram. The difference with Duplessis Builders is Derek Duplessis would rather walk away from a job than cut corners and deliver something that is not to their standard. That's why they're able to offer a 10-year workmanship warranty when other pool builders, industry standard, 1 year. It's Duplessis Builders. You want a premium product? You want Duplessis Builders. DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on. She's always
We always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. Bunky and below, you want a Deere, you're going to Sunshine. Sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. Great local Louisiana business. Awesome people. You'll love doing business with them over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Kind of a bizarre story that started percolating a little more than a week ago is that Louisiana Tech, which has been in Conference USA, is trying to make the move to the Sun Belt, is now on conference schedules for two different leagues, both Conference USA and the Sun Belt. What in the world? How do you prepare for a season when you don't know your schedule? Let's ask their head coach. Sonny Cumbie's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Sonny, it's great to have you back, man. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I appreciate you having me back on, Matt, and enjoy it. It's been really busy, trying to get ready to play 20 games. So hey, we're gonna have a lot of.
That's got to be a record, man.
Hey, we're gonna have a lot of happy players though, because everybody's gonna get to play.
Oh my God!
Everybody, we'll break it up and send guys everywhere. But so it's gonna be a lot of playing time for everybody.
I know this, whatever decision is made in the administrative office, not in your office, right? You're going to play whatever schedule they give you. But, can you shed any kind of light or give me any kind of insight as to what is going on here?
Yeah, it's really hard, right now. I think a lot of it's being handled, through the courts and we're just, as far as where we're at, we've got spring practice that started Monday. And so for us, it's good for our players to be able to focus on, this year's football team in terms of being able to compete against each other every day in practice. And, however it shakes out, our team is, has aspirations to compete for conference championships, wherever that is. And so this time of year for us, fortunately, you have a lot of time until you lead up to the season. And so, for us, we've been able to really turn our focus inward on spring practice, on our fundamental development, getting better. We have, bringing back a strong core nucleus of our football team. And so, in addition to the newcomers that we have there, it's been a great spring practice, great winter quarter that we had with our guys. And so there's a lot that goes on with that. And most of it is outside of our reach and outside of our control. And our guys are excited about the possibilities of really either way. And I think they're looking forward to having a great spring and getting our football team ready for the fall that will come for us.
Bulldogs had an 8-5 season this past year. It was definitely sort of the breakout step-up year, which I know you've been waiting for. I want to get to spring and some of the stuff here in a second. Let me ask a follow-up, though. So you, with your athletic director, Ryan Ivey, do you all talk, or what are your conversations like about what may happen? And Sonny, maybe a better way to ask it is, do you have a timeline on when you'll know what league you're going to play in?
Yeah, I think in talking with Ryan, a lot of it still, again, is up, to play out in court and moving forward with that. And so he does a great job of keeping me up to date on what he knows and what the latest is. And has been a really good communicator from that standpoint. And so there's really a lot of unknowns, at this point. And hopefully it'll clarify, the situation will clarify itself up, here pretty soon.
Mm. Sonny Cumbie is our guest. So you're getting ready for, obviously it's spring practice right now, coming off, as we mentioned, an 8-5 season, beat Coastal in the bowl game. One of the things I always like to look at a little bit is the returning production metric, which we kind of talked about on the show a day ago. And your team is ranked 53rd in the country. Just a little over half of your production from a year ago is back. Do you... Or how do you view that now in this portal era, putting your roster together and trying to balance getting guys back and then, bringing guys in via the portal?
Yeah, for us at the group of 5 level, it's huge. And here's, the why is because from a production, like rev share, NIL, all that stuff, I want to try to retain the players that are on our football team, that we know their daily habits, that we know how they love football. We know how they work. We know how they show up every single day. And so from a retention standpoint, I think that's where, we've got to really excel and really have to have the money to be able to retain the really good players that we recruit out of high school, that we develop. And I think because of the atmosphere that we've created here, the ability to win 8 games and, how the trajectory of the program, we were able to retain a lot of those players because, if you go out into, the transfer portal, whenever it was open, like I'm telling you, man, it's such the market value for players at all positions. It just gets higher and higher, really every portal window. And so for us to be able to keep players on our team that are really good players, obviously you keep your production. But the other thing that it helps is, when you come and watch us practice, or you have a newcomer that's new to our program, they watch our practice. It's very easy to see who our best players are. And therefore, it's very easy to see from a compensation standpoint, who deserves to be compensated. And so from a locker room dynamic, we've been able to have, a strong locker room from that standpoint because, we're not, paying a whole bunch of money to bring in a bunch of players that have never been here and then they don't pan out. And so that's always the risk that you run, I think, in terms of using your resources to bring in players from the outside, unless they're a slam dunk. And for us, to be honest, at our level, we can't pay the type of money for a guy in the portal that is a no-brainer slam dunk to come in here. And they get out of our price range pretty quick. But I will say the guys that we have returning, man, they're quality players. They're really good players. They're great people. And I think that the things that they value are very much in alignment with what the things that Louisiana Tech can provide also football-wise and then, from an academic and social atmosphere.
Sonny, you lost some guys this year to Power 4 schools. I don't know if you like the G5 Power 4 designation. I just think you call a thing what it is. It's easier to explain it that way.
Right. Yeah.
But flip it the other way. I mean, you had some guys come to you from Power 4 schools. Are there guys in particular that maybe, I mean, like you said, you just started spring on Monday, so what you're a practice in. But are there some guys that you brought in via the portal that you are really excited about?
Yeah, there are, and we brought in a nose guard. We lost a nose guard really right after the season to SMU, and we signed a kid, Juice Williams from West Florida, Division II school, and again, a really good player, really explosive. But the other thing that is I think of high value is West Florida is a phenomenal program, and in terms of winning championships, he understands what it takes, and so from a work habits and just his eagerness to be great at football. has been really good, and I think that we'll really gain a lot with him being here. And we have the thing that we try to go for is production. Like no matter where they're at, FCS, typically a player is not going to drop down from the Power 5 level or Power 4 level to us that's been playing. Usually those guys are guys that they get hurt, and maybe it's been 2 years in a row they have fluke injuries, and they've just been stacked behind the depth chart and they haven't had an opportunity to play, or maybe they've been behind a phenomenal player and they haven't had their opportunity. And so those are really the guys that we get down from the Power 4 schools. One for us is a safety, Akari Johnson from Arkansas, who I think has an opportunity to be a real difference maker for us on defense and in the return game. And then, in terms of production from FCS levels, and maybe it's another group of 5 school, but that's what we want is guys that have played. Because, again, you're getting guys that have been in fires, you're gaining experience, which that increases the value of your team from an experience standpoint. And then you have to do a ton of research and background on these guys in terms of why they're leaving and talk to all the coaches that they've been associated with. And I think the thing that we try to do also is just from a competitive character and what type of person they are, to really bring in a lot of really good football players that are great people that love to work and love to be coached.
Sonny Cumbie's our guest. I don't think they're going to let you play 20, but we do know that you're going to play in Baton Rouge for the second consecutive year. You good with that? Having LSU on the schedule back-to-back seasons?
Yeah, we're definitely not going to play 20, but it'll it's a big big challenge that second week going to LSU. I know Coach Kiffin's done a phenomenal job there in terms of building that roster. They're going to be an explosive team on offense, and then with Blake Baker returning as the coordinator on defense, they're going to play phenomenal defense as well. So it'll be an exciting game for our team, exciting game for our players. Again, it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. They're playing Clemson the first week of the year that gets before us at home, and so it'll be a good test for our football team, no doubt. Is that
going to be the only? I know last year that was the only P4 non-conference game you played. Is that sort of the strategy that you have in scheduling your non-conference?
Yeah, you would like to have that as the where you go 2 group of 5s, an FCS and a Power 4. That would be the model that you'd like to have. This year, with the potential for a transition, that's thrown off our non-conference schedule, what we had, and so now we're going to go to LSU, and the next week you go to Baylor. So we have back-to-back, and then we play Army at home on October the 8th. So it's going to be a really challenging non-conference schedule. I don't really find out, where we're at as a football team with those guys. And we open up with Northwestern State, which is a quality in-state, school. And so, but ideally you'd like to go with an FCS 2 group of 5s and then, then a Power 4, if you had a template to follow every year.
So was the LSU Baylor Army, is that kind of been forced upon you because of the ambiguity with the conference schedule?
Right. Yeah. Just in terms of the transition, from the potential transition, from Conference USA, in terms of who we had scheduled versus, all right, now if this happens, now all of a sudden you're playing some different people, and then you go out looking for people who need games. And, typically there's Army's probably always going to have an open spot on their schedule.
Sure. Yeah. The 20 games will be great for revenue, though, Sonny. I mean,
yeah, I think the travel, we'll have to figure that out. We'll figure that out. We'll split the squads up, and we'll see. I think we'll have a couple morning or afternoon, night doubleheaders, which would be unique. But I think, for college football, there's a lot of new things that have happened, and again, I think that you'd maximize the development of your roster for sure.
I can certainly appreciate you bringing some levity to this conversation. Sonny Cumbie, Louisiana Tech head football coach. Best of luck in spring. Good health to your guys, and we'll catch up down the road, man. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Appreciate you guys.
Yep, it's always our pleasure. That's Sonny Cumbie. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics, olrmc.com/LSU. As a matter of fact, I literally, during the break, I was scrolling through email, and I have an email from FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake. Matt, it's time for your checkup. I've told you before, even before I became a partner and endorser with Our Lady of the Lake, my doctor is Dr. Curtis Chastain at the Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group. So whenever it's about that time for me to go for my annual physical, my checkup, I get that notification. I encourage men, women, don't ignore your health. Like, go for your checkups. You need to see a doctor. Just look. Go to our OLLRMC.com/LSU if you want to see the championship health partner information. But go to the website, find a physician, book an appointment, take your health seriously. I mean, we're all about making sure we are here for the long haul to enjoy life's great moments. And the world-class physicians at Our Lady of the Lake help you along that way. If it's heart care, listen, tomorrow, quite literally, tomorrow morning at 8:30, Drew has a neurology appointment with Dr. Shah over at Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. So we are very much a family that trusts the lake, and you should as well. OLLRMC.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Muse will do Tigers in the Pros. I promise we'll get to it today, Muse. Unless if you derail me again, claiming you know songs you don't know.
I was about to say, I remember how the segment went, but I don't remember at all how we got to derailing it. But now I do. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was about Juvenile. Set it off. And you claimed you knew it, but you didn't.
I did know that I'd heard the song. That's what I said.
You did. Taylor, do you believe that? No, I'm not going to go down that road again. No, we're not going to do that again. Taylor, do you believe that Muso knows the song Set It Off by Juvenile?
No, I don't know it.
Yeah, bingo.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's not actually good. That's not
That's what I got for you.
That's not a good gauge for anything. For once, I actually agree with you.
It's a miracle.
It's AFR.
AFR.
REV. Let's rev. Let's rev.com. Let's rev.com. Hey, this is your internet service provider. This is home automation, security, cable phone. If you need it for your home or for your business, Let's Rev. REV. Let's rev.com. Let's rev.com. Let's rev.com. Call them. By the way, you're going to talk to someone at a local call center. One of the things I love most about Rev, you're not getting redirected to a call center overseas. When you call Rev, you're talking to someone here. When a Rev technician comes out to your house, you're getting someone from here, someone local that's coming to your house to perform this work. They did the install at our house about a month ago. We are thrilled. The work was exceptional. Staff was friendly, so easy to deal with. And of course, 5 gigs of high-speed internet, all fiber network. Let's Rev. REV. Let's rev.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She likes the way it's pulling while we're tilling up the land. She's even kind of crazy about my farmer's tan.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. We opened the show today with my practice report from spring practice day 1. We opened hour 2 with some of what Lane Kiffin had to say, just gushing about Trey'Dez Green, Ty Benefield, Jordan Seaton. We're going to open up number 3 with a little deeper dive from Lane Kiffin about expectations, which I thought was fascinating when he was talking about it today. We're going to get to that coming up after the top of the hour. Right now, Muso is Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
I'll get you caught up on some spring training action that happened last night. The Rockies beat the Tigers. Jaden Hills on the bump in relief for Colorado. 2/3 of an inning. Didn't give up a hit. Didn't give up any runs and struck out a batter. Pretty nice outing there for him. Alex Lang. Of course, that's Alex Lang of the Kansas City Royals. Now, was on in relief a night ago. 1 inning. Gave up a run on 2 hits. Didn't walk or strike out anybody. It was a good bounce-back year for Lang. Hopefully the change of scenery after some injuries kind of leads to that. Alex Bregman here today in spring training, 1-for-1 with a home run. His 4th homer of the spring, 2nd consecutive day with a home run for Bregman. .524 so far in the spring. Much better than what he did in the World Baseball Classic. So he's cruising into the season. Jake Fraley today was 0-for-1 with a walk. Really just kind of wanted to highlight the stellar spring he had. .321 now with the Tampa Bay Rays. Josh Smith. There it is. Against the Royals a night ago was 0-for. Today 0-for-2, but did drive in a run. Sacrifice fly, his 15th RBI of the spring. .340 for Smitty.
Let's go.
And lastly, Trendon Watford dropped 14 and 6.
Should've
added
stayed.
4 assists.
No.
Trendon Watford should have
No.
stayed.
No, did that
Yeah,
not-
what the hell?
did
He
that
should have
work?
stayed.
Did that work?
6 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Sixers got destroyed by the Thunder. That's Tigers and Pros.
Who was Trendon Watford's coach at LSU?
Will Wade.
We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online, southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Remember, right now, 0% for 60 months on a brand new Volkswagen Atlas. It's 5 years. 0% for 5 years. And a $1,000 customer bonus right now. That's only through the end of the month, which means you got a week. 1 week to go. Get by South Point Volkswagen. Get you a brand new Atlas. southpointvw.com. southpointvw.com. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, Sports Center's coming up. Hour number 3 right after the break.
AFR.
Yeah, great meeting today over at Parish Construction and Roofing. We have our marketing meeting every Tuesday. Really fired up. Friday, we're going to announce the winner of our $25K giveaway here on AFR at the top of hour number 3. Very much looking forward to that. But the thing I really want to remind you mostly as we head into storm season, it just gets very busy here. It rains a bunch, and we get wind and hail, and hopefully we avoid any big-name storms. But roof damage is part of living in South Louisiana. And I would strongly encourage you to get a roof inspection, because in the event that hail or a storm does happen, you'll have a baseline. Even if you have nothing wrong with your roof today, you'll have a full comprehensive inspection report for your insurance company in the event a storm happens later, so you can track it to that event. Anyway, it's free. Do it. Call us. Parishbuilt.com. Parishbuilt.com. Parishbuilt.com.